So my title is Senior Vice President of Brand and Culture, which touches a lot of different facets of what we do. I'm in a very special place where we can kind of lead stewardship of our brand in a way that touches everything from our people, which is that talent development, really creating a place where people are happy to be working at, but also living and breathing our mission. Our places, which is the canvas in which we build neighborhoods and we curate human experiences as a real estate developer that partners with restaurateurs, chefs, operators, retailers, and brings them together in neighborhoods to really create these places that people have pride of ownership in. And the next piece of it is storytelling, so how we share that culture and that work. And finally, there's an intellect piece where we use business and societal insights to drive what our work is and how we capture impact. Yes, so my culinary background is a wannabe background in culinary experience. I studied architecture as an undergrad, studied real estate development and graduate studies, and landed in this place at EDENS where we curate human experience, and a big piece of that and foundational is food, which is why we have Richard Brandenburg, who's our Director of Culinary Strategy, and I work really closely with him on building upon that piece that is a culinary moment and creating ambiance around it, creating the place, creating the brand, creating that interaction that happens prior to you taking that first bite. So I love food. I'm more on the kind of consumer side of food, but there's this beauty to the art of food that it's the one area of the arts that touches all five senses, right? And in architecture, there's a science to making a building happen, and that's beautiful. But I think when it comes to food, being able to kind of consume that and it becomes a part of you, it's a pretty beautiful thing. So I feel really fortunate to be able to kind of bridge those two gaps in placemaking and food experience. Yeah, I think it's a gut feeling. It's a memory, and it's multifaceted in terms of sensory and also surroundings, right? So it's infinite and you can go from like the broadest brushstroke to the most finite detail, and it all comes together as this one experience that you hold really deeply and emotionally close to yourself. So there's a science to that, and it all sounds really like touchy-feely, but I think that there is a science to that and understanding why humans behave the way they do, and tapping into that psychological piece of it is pretty powerful. So in terms of the work that we do, it's looking at all of that, but then also understanding that place, that building where it happens, and bridging those two gaps is kind of an interesting place to be in, which is why I love my job. I think food is an interesting space to play with because of it's foundational in the sense like we need it to survive, but then it can be this very aspirational luxury experience that you craft to be very much like away from survival. So every day as humans we eat, and everything else in between kind of fills the gap, right? So I don't think that there's kind of an either or. It's just looking at that human experience from the moment we wake up to the moment that we go to sleep, and understanding how that's all weaved together in experience. So and that includes work too. I think there's a lot of you look at your leisure time, you look at the time that you're at work, the time that you spend with your family, and we're living in a time where that's all kind of bleeding together. There was a time when you left the office at 5 p.m. and you left work at there, and you started your personal time, and now that's kind of blurring. So I don't think it's either or. It's just kind of understanding how it all behaves together and how it brings us together as people, and with our families, with our friends, with strangers, with our communities, etc. This conference, so Worlds of Flavor, has been very inspiring. I love being kind of the odd man out of not really being a chef or a restaurateur, but I learn a lot. I think that there's a lot of passion in this world because it's not an easy market sector. It's odd hours, it's a lot of labor, it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. So you see so much love manifested in the people, and you see it in the work, you see it in the ingredients, in the food, and all of that manifestation, the tangibles of what it is that, you know, this industry does, and it's very inspiring. And I think, again, going back, that this is the only form of art where all five senses are engaged, and I don't think anyone can say that. I don't care how, you know, globally impactful you are and doing all these beautiful things in music or architecture or fashion or whatever it is. No one is ever going to engage all five senses except for this sector, which is pretty powerful.